If you fail to plan, then you've planned to fail. You've set yourself up for failure. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can effectively not only plan, but set up your weeks and organize your weeks so that you're getting way more done every day and every week. Let's start with the first concept or quote, that you should never start your day until it is finished on paper. That's a quote from Jim Rohn. Never start your day until it is finished on paper. So I'm going to start with the day, but then we'll go into the week, and then we'll probably revert back to the day. You should never have started a day without having planned it out effectively. The problem is that 98% of people or 99% of people, rather than going to bed with a plan and thinking about their future self and who they want to be, and then going to bed and letting their subconscious actually create their future self. We all know this. 99% of people look at their smartphones within 10 minutes of bed. 95 or more percent of people are staring at their phone while in bed. And also there's a lot of research that shows that people procrastinate sleep because they're scrolling. One of the best things you could possibly do is go to bed an hour earlier than you probably are right now so that you can get up an hour earlier. A great quote is that if you lose an hour in the morning, you'll spend the rest of your day trying to find it. I think that's Richard Waitley. So if you waste that first hour of your morning, you're going to spend the rest of your day trying to find it. And so rather than wasting your day, rather than wasting your evening and pushing off sleep and essentially setting up your future self for disaster the next morning, go to bed an hour earlier. Put your phone on airplane mode 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed and pull out your journal. Never start the day until it's finished on paper. Actually take the time to reflect on the day, measure your gains, as Dan Sullivan and I would say, measure your progress. What the research actually shows is that taking the time to write down 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day, it not only boosts your happiness, but it boosts your sleep. So you could do that. You could take the time to actually reflect on 3 things you're grateful for from that day, but you could also find 3 gains from that day or 3 wins. They might not have been the 3 forms of progress you were looking to make, but what were 3 things that happened that day that show that you made progress? It could be something you learned, or it could be an experience you had with a loved one. What are 3 things that you're happy happened and that reflect gains or progress or wins? And then just write down what are the 3 most important things you could do for the next day. And that actually now takes me forward to weekly planning, but also just a much higher core concept in general. You obviously, just like you would want to give yourself space right before going to bed where you could plan your next day, and I would say no more than 3 priorities. Never have more than 3 items on your to-do list each day. And on a daily basis, those items on your to-do list should actually be pretty small. They should be very easy to do. So BJ Fogg, the Stanford psychologist, he talks a lot about, tiny habits, essentially. Even James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, talks about the importance of scaling the behavior down. When you're planning, when you're visualizing, when you're making your dreams, you want to be as ambitious as possible. And it's actually true. Your view of your future is what's driving your present. And so you want a massive future self. But when it comes to daily progress, you really want to scale it down so that it's extremely small, extremely doable, because you can actually commit to something small. And so when it comes to your 3 core priorities for each day, which you come up with the night before in your journal with your phone on airplane mode, and then you go to bed probably an hour earlier than you're used to going to so you can actually wake up and get working on your future self. Make sure that those 3 items on your to-do list are important, not urgent. They're things towards your future self. They're not like activities or behaviors that are like going to a work meeting. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about 1 or 2 or 3 important activities that are not urgent, that could easily be forgotten or lost, but that if you invest that time and that energy, and if you make that improvement, or if you actually work on them, you're building towards your desired future self. It's an important investment towards your future self. Now, when it comes to the week, just like you would on the daily basis where you'd give yourself 5 to 15 minutes, probably on the weekend, it could be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you'd want to take 15 to 30 minutes to reflect on your week and actually reflect on your progress, reflect on your gratitude, reflect on what actually happened, and then you'd want to make plans about what you wanted to accomplish the next week. What could be the most important thing you could accomplish? And just like on the daily, you would have no more than 3 items on your weekly to-do list. What are the 3 most important things you can accomplish? Of course, you're going to do more things. Of course, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to have other activities, but what are the 3 most important, not urgent things you could do towards your future self? Let me give a little bit more context. In order to actually live effective days and effective weeks, you have to have a clear sense of purpose and mission. Without a clear sense of purpose towards your future, you're going to waste your present. That's one of the things that Viktor Frankl, the psychologist and Holocaust survivor, found. He wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. Without a sense of purpose towards your future, the present becomes meaningless and the present becomes wasted. Without a clear sense of purpose towards your future, you decay mentally, spiritually, and physically in the present. And in today's ultra distracting environment, if you don't have a clear sense of purpose and mission that you're committed to and working towards on a daily basis, then you're going to be wasting your present. You're going to let enormous amounts of inputs come in. The world is filled with distraction, and if you're not clear on your sense of purpose and mission, then you're going to waste your present because you're going to let all sorts of distractions derail you. And I would say that that's probably where a lot of people are in their life, because they're not clear and committed on a future that they're excited about and committed to, and that they believe is a sense of purpose. The present is pretty meaningless and distracted, and your input shapes your outlook, and your outlook shapes your performance. And because people are not clear on their future and they don't have a sense of purpose, they're not finding effective inputs. They're not deliberately practicing, as psychologists would say. They're not actually finding the information they need to achieve their goals. Instead, they're being swamped by information that's completely random. And that randomized information is shaping their belief system, and it's distracting them. People are decaying and wasting away in the present because they have no purpose for their future. This is what's really important as well. Whatever view you hold of your future is the thing driving your present, and as a rule, most people are being driven by very short-term, very narrow versions of their future. They don't have a long-term vision and purpose that they're working towards that's important, not urgent. Instead, most people's future is urgent. It's just getting through the end of the workday, or getting to the weekend, getting to the grocery store. Like, most people's goals are so immediate. They're putting out just immediate fires, as Robert Greene would say, that they're not lifting their gaze and being committed to a longer term future self. And so before you can even live effective weeks and days, you actually need to know your bigger picture purpose. This isn't your sense of purpose for your whole life. It's like, what's your purpose right now? This could be for the next year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. If you don't have a clear sense of purpose and mission, then your present is wasted and it's distracted and you're wasting it. And so the first thing you need to actually do is you need to ask yourself, what is my purpose right now? What's the most important thing I could be focusing on right now? Or what do I want for my future? Let's just call it 3 to 5 years from now. What's the most important thing that I could be creating or building? Or what does life want of me right now? Those are some really important questions. And I would invite you to not think more than like 5 years out. Although obviously you could track upwards and think like, where do you want to be in 10, 20 years? But when it comes to your sense of purpose right now, and who you want your future self to be right now, what is the most important thing that you could create or do right now that you feel like life is asking of you? You might have something inside of you that you've wanted to do for years. Maybe it's learn a musical instrument. Maybe it's travel the world. Could be honestly raising your kids or preparing for retirement, whatever it is. What is life asking of you right now? Getting really clear on that sense of purpose so that you can actually use your present effectively, so you can actually drive your present effectively and have meaning in your present, but also have purpose in your present. So who is your future self? Let's just call it 3 to 5 years from now. And what are your core 3 priorities? Jim Collins in the book Good to Great said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. And so what I would invite you to consider is, what are the 3 key areas of your life where you want to focus your most energy and attention and really massively grow those 3 areas? For me, right now, my core 3 areas of focus, or my core 3 priorities, are my family/faith, and then my writing books, and also money. So basically my purpose or my vision for my next 3 to 5 years is to really invest big, especially in my older 3 kids, but also in my faith and in my family. Like, that's my number 1 priority. The second one for me is 10xing myself as an author. I've written multiple books, but I want to go 10x bigger as an author. My former self, me like five or so years ago, my purpose was to become a professional author, but now I am that. And so my purpose now is to 10x as an author. And again, your purpose is what you choose, but it's what gives you purpose in your life and also meaning in what you're doing. The third one for me is 10xing my wealth, or 10xing my money. And again, these are just my 3, but I invite you to ask yourself, what are your 3 core priorities? What are your 3 priorities in life? What are the 3 buckets of life that matter more to you right now, and that you really feel like a sense of purpose and mission towards, so that you can really start focusing and investing in those areas and growing those areas? What are the areas of life that you really want to go big in right now and that will give you a sense of purpose, a sense of mission? If you can get clear on your purpose and you can define it into 3 core priorities, then you can start using your present effectively. Then you can start having more meaning and purpose in your present. Then you can clear the clutter and you can start focusing and actually designing your environment, designing your inputs. Your input shapes your outlook, but you can't get the right inputs if you're not clear on what you want. You can't deliberately practice. You can't learn. It's, as an example, let's just say that your purpose is to get really good at real estate and to invest a lot in real estate and to create financial freedom. If that's a clear purpose, then you can start actually getting the right inputs. You can actually start investing in mentorships or coaching programs or reading books or watching YouTube videos that will teach you how to start making those deals. But if you don't have that clear sense of purpose, you're just going to be swamped with information and distraction. So step 1, clarify your future self. Who do you want to be? What is your sense of purpose and mission? Set 3 core priorities. What are the 3 areas of your life where you're going to go big and invest? And then from there, you can set specific quantifiable, measurable goals. As an example for me, as one example, I'm going to be publishing 2 new books in 2022. And I also want my books to pass 1 million sales. And so like those are specific goals that I can set and effectively work towards over 2022 that allow me to move my purpose forward. They give my present direction, they give my present context, they give my present meaning. They give me the grit and the strength to go through the challenge. There's a great quote that Viktor Frankl talked a lot about. He said, when you have a why to live for, you can bear almost anyhow. You can go through almost anything if you've got a clear enough why. You can also find impressive and powerful ways of accomplishing your goals if you're super committed. When you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Once you get committed, all sorts of events issue from that commitment that allow you to move forward. If you're not committed, then you're just going to keep finding excuses. But if you're committed, you will actually create better results. There's actually a great quote from the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. They say that commitment is a statement of what is. You can know what your commitment is by your results. So whatever results you're currently getting in life is a reflection of your current level of commitment. But if you commit 100% to specific goals that fit within your 3 core priorities, then you can start living effective weeks. Then that now takes us back to the week where it's like, okay, when you're at the end of your week, you look back on your progress and you evaluate your progress. You are obviously grateful. And I would give yourself 15 to 30 minutes at the end of every week. 15 to 30 minutes. It could be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday where you just take 15 minutes of thinking time. You reflect on your week, how you did, your progress. You express a lot of gratitude. Gratitude is super helpful. And then you think to yourself, with the context of your big 3 priorities and your bigger picture goals for like the year. What are your core goals for the year? From there, you can actually say, what's the most powerful or important thing I can accomplish this week that would move me towards that purpose, that would move me towards those goals? If you don't have clear, bigger picture goals, how can you have a great week? And so if you have let's just call it your core priorities clarified, whatever those are, and if you have specific measurable goals, let's just say for the next 12 months, then you can ask yourself, what during this week could I do that would make the biggest difference? Every week is going to be different from every other week. It's not like every week is autopilot. At the end of the week, you might need to make different progress than you made this week. You might need to do different things, or you could do different things that would make massive progress. No more than 3 core outcomes. What are the 3 most important things you could do this week that would be massive? The more committed you are, the more courageous you will be. So what are 3 things you could do that would be either deep work, where you're going to sit down and focus? For example, me creating this video. This is deep work. This is me sitting and focusing and creating. So one aspects of choosing 3 goals for a week is, 1, it could be deep work where you're sitting and actually like thinking about something or creating something or connecting with someone or doing something for, could be a couple hours. Or it could be some courageous power move. What's some power move you could make towards your future self this week? It could be reaching out to a mentor. It could be investing in some coaching program. It could be removing something. Removing something that's stopping you could be a power move. Ending a relationship or ending a commitment. What's some power move you could make? So you just ask yourself, what are the 3 most powerful things I could do this week that would totally move me towards my future self? If you're not taking the time to plan, then you're planning to fail. And if you're not giving yourself 10 to 15 to 30 minutes at the end of your week to evaluate your week and then to plan for your next week in the context of your future self, in the context of your 3 core priorities, and in the context of your yearly goals, then you're probably wasting away your present. You're probably, as Viktor Frankl would say, wasting away your decaying mentally and spiritually, and you're probably distracted. Your attention is caught up in lesser goals. Your attention is caught up by other people's agendas. But if you can get clear and committed on your purpose, if you're clear on your 3 priorities of life, and if you're investing big in those 3 areas, and if you've got a massive vision, and if you've got clear, specific goals that are stretching and powerful that you're committed to, then your weeks can be spent well. Especially if at the end of every week, you're evaluating your last week and then you're making a clear plan, and your plans are based on the 80-20 principle. 80% of results comes from 20% of what you do. It's not about being busy, it's about being effective. It's about creating results, not being busy. So what are 3 powerful results you could create in the next 7 days? And then once you've got your weekly goals, you can then set daily goals based on those weekly goals. As just one example, my weekly goal may be to write 2 chapters of my book and maybe to film 5 YouTube videos. My daily goal then from there could be, well, I'm going to write 500 words today and I'm going to make 1 YouTube video. Those are daily goals based on my weekly goals, based on my yearly goals, which are based on my core 3 priorities, which is based on my future self that I'm super excited about and investing in. And then at the end of every week, you just measure your progress, express gratitude, and then set better plans for every week. At the end of every day, you evaluate your progress, you express gratitude, and you set better plans for the next day. And you never measure any day against any other day. You never measure any week against any other week, because each day is its own day. Each day has its own value. Each week is its own week. Each week has its own value. Each week is a different battle. And so there's no comparing this week with last week. There's no ideal perfect week that you're trying to like perfectly frame as a robot. No, this week is gonna be different from last week. Next week's gonna be different from this week. Today's gonna be different from, and so that's why you gotta have daily plans, weekly plans. Every week you're gonna have a different focus. I mean, it's gonna be based on the same goals probably, but what you need to accomplish this week, or what you want to accomplish this week, or the power moves you're gonna make, or the deep work you're gonna do this week might be a little different from what you did last week or next week. Same as today. You got to make plans and vision and commitment each day. One other super important point as it relates to evening routine. Obviously, going to bed an hour earlier than you normally do would be helpful, because then you can get up an hour earlier and get straight to your vision and operate from your future self. But also, how the energy and the spirit and the commitment you have towards your week is going to influence not only the week itself, but each day. And so during your weekly planning session, you can do a few things that increase your commitment. One is obviously you can start with meditation and prayer. Get yourself into a peak state. Get yourself out of your routine environment. Get yourself into the right frame of mind. It's nice to actually be in a good environment when you're doing this. Don't have your cell phone on and don't get distracted. Actually be present with your journal. Start with a prayer if you're someone of spiritual, if you're someone who has a faith in God. If you're not, start with just a little bit of meditation so that you can frame yourself the right way. Maybe even read your goals, and then give yourself the space to get committed to what you're going to do. Get yourself the space to get clear on what are the 3 most important things I can accomplish this week, and then get yourself committed. And if you're a person of prayer, you can pray and ask for that commitment. And then on a daily basis, when you're giving yourself 5 minutes to actually reflect on your day, and then to make your big 3 for the next day, your 3 core outcomes. If you're a person of faith, you can pray and ask God to help you get committed. Pray and ask God to help you to focus on and create that, and to be focused and to be committed, and to have the faith to create those results. And so the level of commitment, the level of faith and commitment and energy you put towards your week is going to influence who you are and how you operate during that week. And it's the same at the end of the day. The energy, the flow, the commitment, the faith that you put towards what am I going to do and who am I going to be tomorrow is going to influence how you wake up, when you wake up, and who you'll be. And you can go to bed proactively. You can go to bed with a vision and a commitment. You can pray on that. You can go to bed. You can visualize yourself living it out. You can even visualize your big picture future self. And then that's going to influence your subconscious while you sleep. And then when you wake up, you'll wake up with the orientation of your future self, and you'll start operating on the important, not the urgent. Otherwise, you just go to bed scrolling, and then you wake up and you're just on the hamster wheel of being your current self rather than operating towards your future self. Totally up to you. But that's how you effectively plan out your week. And you can have insane weeks if you're proactive, not reactive. You can have insane weeks if you're committed, and if you have a big picture or vision of your future self, if you've got 3 clear priorities of life, and if you've got specific targets that are massive and require a lot of commitment and courage, and the development of new skills, capabilities, new relationships. But your future self can be a fundamentally different person than you are today. Even in a year from now, you can be in an insanely different place if you're willing to live effectively on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, towards very specific goals. And then you can clear the clutter out and remove all the distractions that life is trying to throw at you. Until you're clear on your purpose, everything is going to be a distraction to you. That's one thing that Kobe Bryant said. He said, once I got clear on what I wanted, then life became a school to me, because then I could actually find the information I needed, the coaches I needed, go get the experiences I needed. But if you're not clear on who you want to be and on what you want, then your present is going to be wasted, and you're just going to be a ping pong ball, distracted by everything going on around you. And so you need to have a sense of purpose if you want to have a positive present. And in fact, I love the quote from Dan Sullivan. He said, the only way to make your present better is by making your future bigger. Your future is what drives your present. Most people are driven by nearly immediate futures, even the next dopamine hit. A lot of people's future is only as far as the next scroll. But if your future gets big and committed, then you can start investing, and you can start experiencing the compound effect, and you can start having better weeks, better days, and ultimately you transform enormously fast. I hope you liked this video. My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to effectively become your desired future self. Down below, you can get the Kindle book for free of The Gap and the Gain, or you can just get the free 30-day Future Self course. Down below, there's links to the 30-day Future Self course or to The Gap and the Gain for free if you want the Kindle version. Again, please like this video, subscribe. Have an amazing day.